Hello, I'm Rick Springfield, and you're listening to Your Morning Coffee, the podcast. Weekly music news for the new music business.
From Billboard, did that song go viral on TikTok organically, or was it paid for?
And from Discogs, no, vinyl sales aren't down 33% in 2024. They're up 6.2%. Discogs editorial content marketing lead Sam Tornow breaks it down for us.
From Ars Technica, Spotify criticized for letting fake albums appear on real artist pages.
And a guest column by A2IM's Richard James Burgess for Billboard, Why TikTok's Decision to Sideline Merlin Hurts Music Culture. Well, Jay, we've got a full docket today for this episode.
Yes, we do.
We're looking forward to everyone checking it out, so stick with us because here we go. We're starting the show right about now.
Stand by for transmission.
This is London calling.
Wake up! The revolution is at hand!
Your morning coffee is on the air. On the air. On the air. On the air. On the air.
Standing by.
Your morning coffee, the weekly music news for the new music business. It's the highly curated, agitated, advocated, moderated, and liberated digital music information that you need to know. We are your digital music authority. And now from our studios in Hollywood, California, here's your hosts, Jay Gilbert and Mike Etchart.
You're the perfect drug at the imperfect time. Before you crashed into my life, I was doing fine. I fall into you, and everything fades away. You burn through the world I knew, now I wanna stay. And I wanna lose myself. And I'm gonna lose myself. To be past this shit, but it still turns me on. Right now I'm gonna lose myself. Your east is west, your north is south.
Jay, that is a great song. Just announced Big Hits, Rick Springfield's Greatest Hits Volume 2, a career-spanning retrospective chronicling more recent recordings from 1999's Karma through last year's Automatic. The deluxe version of the package, available on Talk Shop Live November 20th, will feature a single CD, a double LP, a turntable mat, and includes a hardbound coffee table book hand-signed by Rick Springfield, with hundreds of photos by photographer Jay Gilbert over the last 20 years, entitled Burning Film, Rick Springfield Through the Lens. The book presents a comprehensive photographic documentation of Rick Springfield from 2005 to 2025. Jay, congratulations. That is exciting.
Thank you so much. We've been sort of talking about this for 5 years. I've been working on it for about 9 months, and I'm really excited that it's coming out. And that track that we just played you part of is Lose Myself, which is part of this set, Big Hits. Really, I sorted through 20 years and over 60,000 photos live in concert and in the studio. And then again, last week, Chris Schmidt and I shot the cover of the new album. Can't wait for you to see it. It's very special. But yeah, thank you for that. It's been a labor of love.
Wow, super, super exciting. And this week, we hope to see you all at the Music Tectonics Conference. Get your tickets over at musictectonics.com/conference. The 2024 conference takes place October 22nd through the 24th 4th. Let me get the marbles out of my mouth. Mark Mulligan and Tatiana Cirasano of Media Research return with a keynote debate packed with data and insights on the future of music. See you there. We always have a great time, Jay. It's a wonderful event.
Yeah, I can't wait. There's a cool newsletter and Medium blog that we follow. It's called Platform and Stream. They recently ran a post about A&R data and insights platform Meddling. The headline was Meddling launches listing service, track and report artist signings and departures, and this is for free. And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, well, for a decade, Meddling has provided the default data tools for modern A&R coverage. Meddling is launching a free listing service that provides automatically detected artist signings and label departures, along with the ability to report changes in deal status to its nearly 300 verified A&Rs across over 30 record labels.
Yeah, it's super interesting. It makes this deal flow available to everyone in another step in Meddling's effort to democratize A&R. So I spoke to Meddling founder and CEO Travis Rosenblatt. Let's listen in. For those with no prior knowledge, Travis, what is Meddling? What does it do?
It's a A&R research service or digital A&R coverage tool. So it's supposed to help you make sure that you're getting good coverage and knowing the things that are out there that you would otherwise want to be aware of, but we're not. So instead of, a data marketing tool that's going to, if you plug in this artist that you want to check out and you can pull their stats, like that's really cool. That's not what I'm doing. I'm doing the other way around where I'm showing you a bunch of, names of artists that you didn't know that you needed to know about yet.
Right. And who is this tool for primarily? Is it just A&R people, or is it applicable to other executives or staffers?
I mean, I built it certainly as I was previously a record label A&R. So I built it from that perspective. But that said, it's good for anybody who needs to do A&R of any level. So that's at this point, artist managers, lawyers, agents, a couple of promoters who use it. Anybody who needs to be, ahead of the curve on discovery.
There's a couple of ways that people look at A&R today. Strictly data, looking for some spike somewhere to grab some cultural moment with short form video, a TikTok, Reels, something. But then you sort of have the old school folks who it's relationship driven and they watch what's going on, maybe at radio locally, or they look to see what, if there's a lineup around the block to see somebody play. How do you sort of balance both of those worlds?
I can say that, Meddling is not telling you who to sign. I steer very clear of that. I'm just literally giving you a list of artists to listen to in the order that you might be interested in listening to them. I need to bring things, to your awareness because that's your job as an A&R manager or a lawyer. But I'm not telling you, that means that you need to go sign this thing. I'm telling you that means you need to listen to this. And if you're an A&R at a label, it's still on you to have a vision for that artist and that career and that project.
What is the most challenging thing in your mind for an A&R representative today?
I can't pick one. I don't envy their position right now. I think it's incredibly difficult to break records. I don't think anyone who says that they know how to break records in 2024 is telling you the truth. It's a weird ecosystem out there. And so I think that their struggle right now is that they can't take the risks on a lot of things that they used to be able to and say, okay, well, here's this unknown kid somewhere in the middle of nowhere, but these songs are really great. I know that I can at least take this, throw it through the machine and see if it sticks to the wall. So that, not being able to do that means you have to look for stories that are already telling themselves. And start to balance that. I think that's an incredibly difficult balance.
Awesome. Travis, great talking with you. Thanks for taking the time.
That is really interesting. Wow. And what a wonderful resource. Wow. Wonderful resource.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's interesting because so much of that stuff was kind of just sort of cloak and dagger and kind of secret squirrel, who's signing who and who's dropping who and all that stuff. It was not. Sometimes it would get publicized, but a lot of times it did not. So very interesting, very, very cool.
Yeah.
And I was texting you, Jay, this week as I was over at the Life as a Carnival, the big Robbie Robertson tribute concert, which I went to.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what a fantastic event! Which is going to be either a TV special or a TV documentary, so you could all look for it. But I was there live watching it. It was really great.
Who are some of the artists that were playing?
Well, it was interesting. They essentially kind of followed the track listing for the most part, of the original Last Waltz documentary, which of course was done by Martin Scorsese. It was the last tour of the original band, and so they essentially had new artists doing those songs, the band's songs. But then also Van Morrison and Eric Clapton and Mavis Staples, who were in the original Last Waltz documentary, were there as well. So it was, and Mavis Staples killed it. So it was really fun, really, really fun. Jay, Apple Music is now lets artists to turn their set list into playlists for tour promotion. This is a piece in Music Business Worldwide by Mandy Delugdug. Sorry about that, Mandy. The set list feature, available through Apple Music for artists on the web, enables musicians to share their concert experiences and upcoming tour dates directly with their audience.
Yeah, this is super cool, and you know how much I love Setlist. This new tool integrates with bands in town to facilitate the creation of tour-related playlists. Artists can create set lists for individual concerts, entire tours, or residencies. These playlists are automatically published to the artist's Apple Music page, their Shazam artist profile, and related event pages.
So to use the feature, artists will have to first upload an artist image to their profile, which will serve as the playlist's cover art. The platform also requires artists to connect their Apple Music page with Bands in Town to improve show discoverability. Bands in Town allows users to receive notifications about tours and bands playing in their area, and yes, it does. What a wonderful app it is.
Yeah, very cool. And then Mandy had another piece in Music Business Worldwide, and the headline was YouTube unveils new features including collaborative playlists, fan badges, and a sleep timer. Among the most notable additions is a revamped collaborative playlist feature for YouTube Music, allowing users to build, share, and vote on playlists with friends and family through unique links and QR codes.
So this new feature appears to be a direct response to Spotify's similar functionality. Spotify launched Jam, a real-time collaborative playlist feature, last year. Jam expanded upon Spotify's existing collaborative playlist feature from 2020, and the blend option introduced in 2022, which creates shared playlists based on multiple users' music preferences.
Yeah, and additionally, YouTube Music is also introducing new customization options for playlist thumbnails, including the ability to use personal photos or generate images using AI.
So later this year, YouTube plans to implement a voting system enabling users to rank videos within playlists, facilitating community interaction and content curation, it said in a blog post.
Right. The update also provides more precise playback speed controls, letting viewers adjust video speeds by 0.05 increments versus 0.25 previously.
So mobile users will also benefit from an improved mini player functionality, which now allows viewers to resize and reposition the player while browsing other content. The platform is also rolling out visual improvements for landscape mode viewing on Android devices, featuring larger thumbnails and enhanced text visibility, with iOS updates scheduled for later this year.
Yeah, I love all of these innovations, Spotify, YouTube. YouTube is also launching a sleep timer feature for all users following successful testing with premium subscribers back in August. This tool automatically pauses video playback after a set duration. Spotify's had the name sleep timer feature since August of 2022.
Meanwhile, YouTube is also introducing a new badge system to YouTube and YouTube Music. Users can earn badges for being a top listener and can showcase their earned badges in their profile's You tab.
Yeah, very cool.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Another thing coming up, before we jump into our stories, I just want to remind our audience, we've got a really great special bonus episode coming with Rianne Jones and Lucy Heyman. They're the authors of the book Sound Advice, The Ultimate Guide to a Healthy and Successful Career in Music. That's available November 14th. I got an early copy. It is absolutely one of the best books I've ever read on the music industry because it sort of blends together, the realities of being a musician, being a touring musician, or being on part of a team today. But it adds in sort of a wellness, mental health, sort of angle to it. So that's going to be dropping the first part of November. Can't wait to share that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jay, what do you say we thank our sponsors before we get rolling? I'd like to start with, of course, Soundtrack, Music for Business. The good news is that 33% of consumers discover new music they hear played in businesses such as restaurants, retail, bars, hotels, etc. The bad news is that over 70% of U.S. small and mid-sized businesses are misusing music, resulting in a loss to music creators, rights holders, and the music industry to the tune of over $1.3 billion in the U.S. alone. Soundtrack is the leading music streaming business service for business, providing music to more than 80,000 businesses globally. To learn more, you can jump over to soundtrack.app/artist-guide.
Yeah, super cool. Special thank you, shout out to Music.ai. Music.ai is a trailblazing AI-powered music and audio platform offering an expansive suite of over 50 stackable AI audio solutions. You want to change the tempo or pitch of your song, adjust instruments or vocals, mute background noise. Music.ai makes it super easy. It's embraced by record labels, agencies, tech firms, and developers. Music.ai is synonymous with audio innovation. With over 45 million users, their tools process over 2 million minutes of audio every single day. They can process yours. Visit music.ai to get started.
Yeah, fun stuff. Also sponsored by Bandzoogle, built by musicians for musicians. Bandzoogle is an all-in-one platform that makes it easy to build a stunning website and online store for your music in minutes. All the features you need are already built in, including dozens of fully customizable templates, tools to sell your music and merch commission-free crowdfunding and fan subscription features, mailing list tools to grow your fan list, integrations with Bandcamp, SoundCloud, YouTube, Bands in Town, and more, so you can easily add content from your other online profiles, live support from their musician-friendly team 7 days a week. Website plans start at just $8.29 a month, which includes hosting and your own free custom domain name. Your Morning Coffee podcast listeners can jump over to bandzoogle.com to try it free for 30 days and use the promo code Morning Coffee, that is all one word, to get 15% off the first year of any subscription. That's bandzoogle.com, promo code Morning Coffee.
Yeah, and we're also sponsored by Hypebot. Since 2004, Hypebot has chronicled the new music industry and the trends and technologies that are changing how music is discovered, consumed, marketed, and monetized. Edited daily by founder Bruce Houghton with help from Alana Bonilla. Hypebot and sister blog Music Think Tank are published by live music discovery and marketing platform Bands in Town.
You betcha. Over 80 million live music fans trust Bands in Town to get personalized concert alerts, recommendations, and messages from their favorite artists. It's the #1 artist service platform connecting over 590,000 artists with their superfans. Managers, labels, agencies, and artists access their own dashboard to manage and promote their tour dates across all platforms. And when I was on my way to the forum, I was thinking the show started at 8 for the Robbie Robertson tribute, but I pulled up Bands in Town. Of course, it told me it started at 7, so I was running a little bit late, Jay.
Ah, good to have.
Indeed. And by the way, every time I get to do this wonderful podcast, every week I get to hang out with none other than Jay Gilbert. He is a music industry consultant. He's the curator of the weekly Your Morning Coffee newsletter and a former executive with Universal Music, Sony Music, and Warner Music Groups.
Yeah, and every week I get to talk to Mike Etchart, longtime host of Sound and Vision Radio, formerly of SST Records, Warner Music, Capital EMI, and Universal Music Group, and the guy that probably gets ahead of everybody when it comes to documentaries. And we were just talking before we hit record. There's a couple of new ones coming, including one that's out now that I'm probably going to watch tonight, and that's the one on Hulu on Tegan and Sarah. So we'll both watch that and report back.
Yeah, I read about it in the LA Times, actually. So
Yeah.
All right, well, let's jump into our stories, Jay. Number one, this is from Kristen Robinson over at Billboard. Did that song go viral on TikTok organically, or was it paid for? As many as 75% of popular songs on TikTok started with a creator marketing campaign, guesses one major label marketer. Is that a problem?
Well, Kristen starts this off by saying that in July, popular influencer podcast host Tinks took to TikTok to ask her followers a question. And this is the question. Are labels and artists asking random people to make content about music and not saying it's an ad? The answer, in over 700 replies to the video, was a resounding and simple yes.
Oh, yeah. So one digital marketing agency CEO said sound campaigns have been an integral part of music marketing since TikTok took off in 2019, but they differ from other paid promotion campaigns on social media. Captioning a video with hashtag ad or another similar disclosure is required by the Federal Trade Commission when companies pay you or give you free or discounted products or services in exchange for featuring their product in a video, but that has never been the standard for paid promotion of a song. Any essence of a perceived authenticity can be stripped away when a creator tags a video as paid, said that marketing agency CEO.
Right. And as a result, one major label marketer believes that 75% of popular songs on TikTok started with a creator marketing campaign. But that says that there's no way to actually track how many of the songs that go viral on TikTok do so organically, or are they are boosted by thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of paid promotion?
So when asked for clarification about whether or not promoting songs in the background of videos requires disclosure, a representative for the FTC said, while we can't comment on any particular example, that practice seems somewhat analogous to a product placement. When there are songs playing in the backgrounds of videos, there are no objective claims made about the songs.
Yeah, Kristen goes on to say that the video creator may be communicating implicitly that they like the song, but viewers can judge the song themselves when they listen to it playing in the video. For these reasons, it may not be necessary for a video to disclose that the content creator was compensated for using a particular song in the background of a video. We would evaluate each case individually, however.
So while it is not in most cases an FTC violation to run undisclosed creator campaigns to promote singles on TikTok, Instagram Reels, or YouTube Shorts, it remains a little understood area of music marketing that many music fans are not aware is happening. The beauty of TikTok for me has disappeared because I'm super cynical and believe everything I see there, disclosed or not, is paid to be promoted, says the digital marketing agency CEO. Most of the sources in this story requested anonymity in order to speak freely about how these campaigns work.
Often digital marketing gurus will reminisce about the days of the Hype House Bros and the D'Amelios, TikTok reign, around the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, which were considered the good old days for creator marketing. At the time, it was expected for successful TikTok virality to translate into boosts in streams practically every time. Quote, back then, it made sense to pay over $10,000 a video for those famous kids to post your song. There was a high probability of ROI, return on investment, and that's in 2020. And that was said by a second digital marketing agency CEO. One creator manager says they remember a top creator at the time boasting about getting, quote, $50,000 just to play the sound in the background of a TikTok video.
So typically these creators would be instructed by an artist manager, a label, or a third-party digital marketing company, most times the latter actually, to perform a certain trend along with the song, like a dance or a certain filter, in exchange for money.
But these days, experts like George Karalexis, CEO of YouTube marketing and rights management company 102 Media, says more expensive and harder than it than ever to start a trend online. As Billboard reported in 2022, TikTok tracks in the U.S. were streamed far less that year than they were in 2021. That's according to the most recent available data from Luminate.
So now this unpredictability has led to top creators rarely fetching rates over $10,000 for the use of a song in a video. Instead, digital marketers are spreading their budgets over many videos from smaller creators to make the illusion of a less detectable groundswell of support. The second digital market agency CEO says today's payment ranges from about $25 for a micro creator, which is at or below about 10,000 followers, to $10,000 for a TikTok star to post the song.
Right. Recently, a cottage industry of startups has popped up in the creator campaign space, automating the connection between smaller creators and artists looking to pay them to promote their songs. One of the leading companies, Sound.me, for example, recently ran a creator campaign for a bar song, Tipsy, that's that Shabuzi, right, through their service. TikTok is also offering up a similar service with its quote-unquote work with artists feature inside the TikTok app, which that allows qualifying creators, those with over 50,000 followers and living within a certain territory, to get paid to use songs like Halsey's cover of Lucky in their videos.
So even when an artist is willing to spend a significant budget on one particular creator, that doesn't mean the creator will always accept. Sound promos are known to be less lucrative for creators than other brand deals like fashion or skincare, and thus it's common for top creators to shoot the artist team an outrageous number, knowing a sound campaign is not necessarily worth their time otherwise. So says the creator manager.
It goes on to say that it's far less common to ask for a specific type of video from a creator today. Instead, the second digital marketing CEO said, it's not really about pushing specific creative. It's just about finding the right creators for the artist target audience and kind of letting the influencers run with their creative freedom.
So all of this makes discerning the paid promotion of a song from organic enthusiasm more challenging than ever. Even more complicated, the creator manager says that it's best practice for creators who want to work with a specific brand to show for free that they are using the brand's products anyway to attract their attention. The same goes for songs.
Yeah, super interesting. The sign of true success for these campaigns is when social media use of the song grows far beyond the initial budget. There it is. Encouraging unpaid creators to jump in and use the track too, multiple digital marketing sources said the value is in the people using the song that aren't being paid. And that was from my friend Jeremy Gruber, head of artist marketing and digital strategy at management company Friends at Work. He went on to say, success is when we have 13 types of video going on at once to that song, and we can't even tell what's happening.
So typically these sound campaigns are conducted in phases, and while they are common, they are not expected for every single release, 3 label marketing sources say. $5,000 is the low end for what 2 digital marketing agencies believe would be a fruitful campaign, but the spending can grow to $80,000 or even into the 6 figures for rare cases if it is a big-name artist and the song is reacting positively. Typically, after the first round of the campaign, the team will watch and see if the song grows. If it does, then a next wave of spending will be opened up and seeded out to creators to stoke the flame.
Yeah, and the problem there, Mike, is that some of these developing and middle-class artists, they don't have those types of budgets.
Not,
so
no.
the rich sort of get richer.
That's right.
So, yeah, while it might come as a surprise to some music lovers to learn how often these paid campaigns are used, the general consensus among the 8 sources spoken to for this story is that it isn't harming anyone to do it, at least not in the types of campaigns that resemble product placements. Quote unquote, music to me is this beautiful art form, and it completely different from other products and in other industries that run creator campaigns, said that first digital marketing CEO. That CEO went on to say, we do feel that ethically we're promoting content that is a net positive to society.
It may not be as effective as it was a few years ago, but creator campaigns are largely believed to still be essential to market songs today, whether it's on TikTok or on Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts, which is increasingly common. Says the second digital marketing agency founder, it's still the best thing we have.
Yeah, so they call these creator campaigns. A lot of us call them, influencer campaigns. They've been around forever, and they will be around forever. It'll be interesting to see if there's any kind of, designation, like this is part of an ad. I'm being paid for this. But right now, that's not happening. By the way, this story was published as part of Billboard's new music technology newsletter that's called Machine Learnings. And you can sign up for that, and any of Billboard's other newsletters, including Glenn Peoples' The Ledger and these ones that we talk about all the time. All you have to do is go to cloud.email.billboard.com/sign up.
Yep. And as you and I have been around this business for a good long while, this is so common. These things that kind of start organically, suddenly people figure out a way to start paying for them. And there you go. That's just the way things roll. So anyways, here, our next story, Jay, this is by Sam Tornow and Nicole Rainey at Discogs. No, vinyl sales aren't down 33% in 2024. They're actually up 6.2%. Following incorrect reporting, several media outlets claim that vinyl sales were down for the first time in decades. Only problem? They were wrong.
That's right. Last week, news outlets, including Yahoo, NME, they reported that year over year, the U.S. vinyl market was down 33%, like you said. But Discogs contacted our friend Chris Muratori, Director of Partnerships at Luminate, and he confirmed that the reported data is incorrect. Vinyl sales are actually up 6.2%. Billboard has since added language to their Market Watch report, clearing up that error.
Right, so Luminate has been the gold standard for physical music sales numbers for decades. However, at the beginning of this year, the company changed its reporting process, frustrating many record store owners and industry personnel.
Right. We definitely reported on that. The previous reporting process, which was in place for over 30 years, involved sampling independent stores to extrapolate sales of CDs, vinyl, and cassettes for the entire U.S. marketplace.
But the new system, implemented on December 29th of last year, the first day of Luminate's 2024 calendar, involves counting actual sales from independent stores in the entire U.S. market.
Right. In Luminate's mid-year report, you'll remember the company stated, while the new modeled methodology more accurately represents the independent retail market, we do not have comparable historical data to provide an accurate year-over-year trend. Therefore, independent retail sales are not included in our first half 2024 versus first half 2023 U.S. physical sales reporting.
So the Market Watch report has displayed incorrect year-over-year data since the methodology changed. Taking this year-over-year methodology into account, Luminate now claims that vinyl sales are up 6.2%. This number does not include independent record stores from 2023 or 2024.
Right. You and I are big fans of Discogs. We talk about them a lot on the podcast.
Yes.
And it's just such a great site. If you don't explore Discogs, what are you waiting for? But I had the pleasure of talking to Sam Tornow from Discogs this week about this whole thing. Let's listen in. All right, Sam. This week, news outlets began reporting that year over year, the U.S. vinyl market was down 33%. The data for these articles came from a weekly report from Billboard called Market Watch, and that's based on Luminate data. But those headlines are a bit misleading. Talk about Luminate's methodologies and really the facts behind the headlines and where vinyl sales really are in the U.S. right now.
Sure. So the easiest way to understand this whole issue and how this kind of broke is Luminate changed how they reported sales from indie record stores this year, which in their own words in their mid-year report makes it impossible to compare last year's sales to this year's sales, unless you remove independent record stores, since those were changed. So what happened is there's this page on Billboard called Market Watch that automatically updates sales of various mediums, cassettes, vinyl, streaming, and it updates every week, and it has been for the whole year. And it's been making that year-over-year comparison ever since, with no written explanation about the needed nuance between last year and this year and the changes. So to the best of our knowledge, it seems like a reporter from a site recently checked out the table, saw the 33% down number, reported it, and then set everything in motion for the past couple days. So we can talk about the methodology. Luminate has been sort of the gold standard in reporting for many years on the vinyl industry. So beginning of this year, Luminate changed the way that they incorporate vinyl sales from independent record stores, as stated. So the previous way they did it was they sampled data from select stores and then extrapolated those numbers to get a bigger picture of the US market. And this practice has been in place more or less for about 30 years. Recently, though, they made a change. So now indie stores must apply to become reporters and provide weekly sales data in order to contribute to Luminate's overall calculations. So that's the old and the new data sets. Something we found also digging into this is that also a lot of independent record stores aren't exactly totally happy with the new system. Some like it, some don't. But based on some conversations we've had, we found that we think this only covers a small portion of all independent record stores in the United States. According to one of our sources who owns a record shop, most of the shop owners they know don't report, whether that's because they find it difficult, they didn't approve of the change, or they just don't have the manpower to do so if it's a small shop. But earlier this year, Luminate tried to make it a little bit easier when they collaborated with the Music Business Association, Record Store Day, and they also partnered with a company called Street Pulse to incorporate more stores and help report this information. The Music Business Association says that it's easier than ever to report now, and that Street Pulse is even willing to work with small shops to report, even if it's from a traditional point of sale system, even if it's just on a piece of paper. Any way that they can report sales, they say they're willing to work with it. So that's kind of a story within a story of its own, and really caught fire a little bit when all of this was brought to light. But to your other question about where vinyl sales are now, Luminate confirmed that vinyl sales are in fact up 6.2% this year so far. That 6.2% number does not include sales from independent record stores because they can't trace that because the methodology has changed. So by all accounts, vinyl sales are still going up. They're still continuing that long trend. And we spoke with several store owners, labels, people within the industry, and all of them say that this fits the data they saw. So right now, vinyl is in a very healthy spot.
For those with no prior knowledge, talk a little bit about Discogs and your community of music fans. Before we hit record, I was telling you that one of my favorite sites, on the planet is Discogs, and it's such a rabbit hole, and it's just such a great place for music fans to go and explore music. Talk a little bit about Discogs.
Yeah, so at its core, Discogs is a platform for music discovery and record collecting. It's built with crowdsourced data of all the information you want, from vinyl variants, cassettes, there's a marketplace with releases from all across the world. Sometimes Discogs is the only place to find information about certain releases if it's particularly rare, or if artists want to go back and find releases and more information about it, or labels do, to just create almost a historical knowledge of all the work they've done. So what makes it special are all the communities that come here and share their passion for music, their obsession, and their collecting. And that includes collectors, record stores, independent sellers. They all come to Discogs to research, variants, get unique value estimates, catalog their collections, and connect with other like-minded people. There's really not another site out there like it. And Discogs is only one sort of facet of vinyl culture as well. Really, independent record stores are the backbone, and we do support them. And whatever we can do as collectors and establishments to support them is crucial. And we look forward to seeing their continued success and support in the future as well.
Keep up the great work, Sam. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Nice to hear from Sam. Good job, Jay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Thank you.
By the way, Jay, Spotify has been criticized for letting fake albums appear on real artist pages. This is by Ashley Bellinger over at Ars Technica. Real bands struggle to remove fake albums from their Spotify pages.
Yeah, I've run into this too with a couple of my artists where albums will appear and you're wondering, like, wait a second, how did this metadata get screwed up? This fall, thousands of fake albums were added to Spotify with some appearing on real artist pages, where they're positioned to lure unsuspecting listeners into streaming by posing as new releases from their favorite bands.
So an Ars Technica reader flagged the issue after finding a fake album on the Spotify page for a UK psych rock band called Gong. The Gong fan knew that the band had begun touring again after a surprise new release last year, but the latest release listed by Spotify was not that album. Instead, at the top of Gong's page was a fake self-titled album supposedly released in 2024.
This fan detected the fake instantly, and not just because the generic electronic music sounded nothing like Gong's experimental sounds. The album's cover also gave the scheme away, using a generic font and a neon stock image that invoked none of the trippy imagery that characterized Gong's typical album covers.
So Ars confirmed with Gong member Dave Sturt that the self-titled item was an obvious fake on Monday. At that time, Sturt said the band was working to get the junk album removed from its page, but as of Tuesday morning, that album remained online along with hundreds of other albums uploaded by a fake label that former Spotify data alchemist Glenn McDonald flagged in a social media post that Spotify seemingly ignored.
Yeah. On his site, by the way, Glenn McDonald gathered the junk album data by label, noting that Beat Street Music, which has no web presence but released the fake Gong album, uploaded 240 junk albums on Friday alone. Similarly, Ancient Lake Records uploaded 471 albums on Friday. And Gupta Music added 483 just a few days prior, along with 600 junk albums from Future Jazz Records uploaded between September 30th and October 8th. This is crazy.
So McDonald told Ars Technica that the labels should have been a pretty obvious clue in this case that the album uploads weren't genuine releases.
If I still worked there, Glenn said, I would also have immediately scoured the input databases for more releases with the same pattern. The stuff I found from those few labels might be only a tiny fraction of the crap.
A spokesperson told Ars Technica that Spotify is investigating the junk albums that McDonald flagged. It may take time for all albums to be removed from artist pages.
They said, we are aware of the issue. We've relocated the content in question and are considering our further options against the providing licensor. And that's a Spotify spokesperson that said that. And this person went on to say, when we identify or are alerted to attempts by bad actors to game the system, we take action and may include removing stream counts and withholding royalties. Spotify invests heavily in automated and manual reviews to prevent, detect, and mitigate the impact of bad actors attempting to collect unearned royalties.
So in his book, McDonald suggested that the odds of profiting from music streaming fraud have seemingly gotten worse because of authorities cracking down on bad actors and streaming services strengthening fraud prevention teams as generative AI makes streaming music fraud easier than ever.
Right. And, you and I interviewed Glenn McDonald. He was, we did a special episode and he pointed that out, that you're not going to make a lot of money from this streaming fraud, but it's still rampant. Spotify currently seems to be much quicker to act to detect fake listeners, at times removing music by artists who later prove they committed no fraud. And that Variety reported on that in April. To deter the threat, the streaming music service recently started charging distributors $10 for every track that has detected that it was accruing significant numbers of artificial streams, and Variety reported on that. Perhaps eventually Spotify will crack down just as hard on fake albums. Well, we hope so.
We hope so. And you would really think that anybody uploading north of 100 albums, let alone 400 albums in a single day, would kind of get some sort of flag. It's like, wait a minute, that is sketchy. So yeah, it's very weird, and it seems like all this stuff would be really easy to flag right at the outset, and yet it's all up there. But how many thousands of tracks get uploaded every day, and it's a lot to keep track of, I suppose. But still, got to do the job.
Yeah, and I hear it's sort of a game of whack-a-mole.
Yes, it is.
That it just keeps coming and coming and coming. And now with AI and the barrier to entry is so low. We have one final story, and this is super important. This is by our friend Richard James Burgess. You may remember him from A2IM, but he's a songwriter, musician, artist. He's done it all, and we have a great deal of respect for Richard. The headline of this Billboard sort of op-ed was "Why TikTok's Decision to Sideline Merlin Hurts Music Culture." So Richard James Burgess, and like I mentioned, musician, singer, songwriter, producer, all of the above, he presently serves as a president and CEO of the American Association of Independent Music, what we call A2IM.
That's right. And you may recall last week we talked about TikTok's refusal to work with Merlin on licensing deals. This week in Billboard, A2IM's, again, Richard James Burgess wrote a guest column about how this sets a dangerous precedent for independent artists and their labels.
Right. Richard writes that TikTok's decision to boycott Merlin and pursue direct deals with Merlin's member labels is a troubling move that undermines the rights of labels to choose how their music is licensed. While TikTok frames this shift as a way to tackle streaming fraud, it's clear that the real motive is to weaken the bargaining power of independent labels and use that leverage to suppress rates.
Right. So Merlin has built strong partnerships over the last 16 years with more than 40 digital services worldwide. These partners recognize the value Merlin brings: efficiency, scale, and a deep understanding of the independent music community. TikTok's move to sideline Merlin is not about protecting against fraud, but about undermining the ability of independent labels to achieve competitive terms, not just now, but for the long term. The ultimate consequence of its refusal to negotiate with Merlin for the music that earns TikTok billions of dollars will be to damage artists' ability to make a living from their art.
Right. Richard goes on to say that this tactic is not new. It echoes the historical struggles of the music industry with partners such as terrestrial radio and MTV, both of which profited massively from the use of recorded music while refusing to pay artists under the pretext of quote-unquote promotional value or exposure, ostensibly, for the sale of an artist's CDs or LPs. In this largely digital economy, the stream is the sale, and it has been widely reported that TikTok pays rights holders far less than other services for equivalent uses of music.
So independent labels choose Merlin to license their rights because of its expertise, experience, and track record in striking these kinds of deals. This ensures compensation at levels enabling them to compete with the majors and protects independents from being unfairly exploited. TikTok's decision to bypass Merlin and demand direct deals is an assault on the freedom of small and medium-sized enterprises to determine their own business strategies. The fact that TikTok is giving Merlin members a matter of days to accept TikTok's terms or lose access to its massive platform is an unfair exercise of its market power.
This apparent divide and conquer strategy is, we believe, designed to keep payouts for indie artists low by exploiting their perceived reliance on TikTok's platform. It's not about addressing fraud or improving the digital music ecosystem. In fact, by exponentially multiplying the number of licensed deals TikTok will need to strike, and by losing Merlin as a partner in a fight against fraudulent material, more fraud is likely to ensue. Merlin simplifies licensing, making it easier for platforms to access diverse independent music. Fragmenting this hurts artists and fans and will limit the range of music available on TikTok.
So he goes on to say, at its core, this issue is about respecting the rights of independent labels to determine how their music is licensed. TikTok's behavior doesn't reflect a problem with Merlin. It reflects TikTok's lack of respect for the value of music. Every other major platform has struck responsible deals with Merlin that balance the needs of the service with optimized compensation for artists. TikTok's refusal to do so sets a dangerous precedent for recording artists and their labels.
Right. And Richard sums it up by saying that TikTok must stop undermining and disrespecting the independent music community. It can do this by working with the label's rights management agency of choice to establish a fair, transparent licensing system that benefits all stakeholders in the music ecosystem. Independent labels have the right to choose their representatives to negotiate deals that truly reflect the value of their artists' creative contributions. Anything less is a disservice to the artists and the fans and undermines the very fabric of music culture.
Well, it's a great piece. And, it really is. It's like union busting. It's really kind of, they have the right to do that, to have a representative like that. And now TikTok's trying to kind of disrupt that. And it's very disappointing, to be honest. Very disappointing on the part of TikTok. But, Jay, we have come to the end of the show, if you can believe that. If you enjoy the show, please tell one friend. Jay and I would certainly appreciate that. And, of course, as always, big thanks to Soundtrack, Bandzoogle, Music.ai, Hypebot, and Bands in Town, are wonderful sponsors. We literally could not do it without them at all. So we, again, every week thank them profusely because it really matters in terms of the production of this show. So on behalf of my good friend Jay Gilbert, I'm Mike Etchart. Thanks for listening in this week. And Jay and I will be back next week again on the Your Morning Coffee Podcast.
You've been listening to Your Morning Coffee, the weekly music news program for the new music business. Join Jay Gilbert and Mike Etchart next time for the digital music news you need to know.